Hello 10th grade, and welcome to your 2020-2021 class meeting. Now if you recall from previous years in grades 8 and 9, we would have gotten you on that first full day of school, stuck you in the auditorium, and just welcomed you in person and went over all the things that we needed from you. Obviously this year was a little different. We had to focus on opening into our hybrid model, getting you caught up to speed on the new things we needed you to do in the building and outside the building, whether you're learning from here and from home. But regardless, now we want to circle back and come back to some of those important things that we would have said at the beginning of the year. All right, you're in 10th grade now. All right, this is a big trip. You're officially kind of halfway through your Hudson High School experience. You've had 2 years behind you, you have 2 years ahead of you, and now's the time to start thinking about, how am I going to become a leader at Hudson High School? How am I going to set the example for the 8th and 9th graders? How am I going to start thinking about what my plans after high school are going to look like? All right, despite the pandemic, there are a lot of opportunities here at your fingertips. We hope you ask about them, we hope you explore them, and we look forward to having another successful year with you. Now I'm going to turn it on to your new assistant principal, Mr. Goldberg.
Good afternoon, good morning, Hudson High School sophomores. My name is Adam Goldberg and I'm your new assistant principal for this year. And I'm sorry that I missed you at your opening assemblies, and I started here about a week and a half ago, and on that very first day I learned that you would be going home for 2 weeks virtual. So I've missed you for a couple of weeks. The hall seemed very empty and I'm very excited to see you back here for the rest of the sophomore year. It's a wonderful year for you to have, and as Principal Medeiros had described, this is the year in high school where you're really beginning to get traction. You're sort of looking at what worked and what didn't work through your grade 8 and grade 9, really taking stock at your strengths and the areas that you want to improve in, and really digging down and digging your heels into building the wonderful experience that you have in and out of the classroom and in the community of Hudson. I am in the main office. I really encourage you to come down, make an appointment. I look forward to seeing you around the halls and in your classrooms and in the cafeteria. And if you need anything, there's assistance you need, you just want to get to know me a little bit, you're going to be involved in the school and community, and you want me to attend an event, I'm looking forward to seeing all the different things that you guys are doing in and out of the classroom. It's a wonderful year you have ahead of you, sophomores, and I look forward to being part of all the different activities and events that you have. Wish you the best. Have a great year.
Okay, Hudson High. Mr. McInnesby, Mr. Goldberg, and I are going to be going through a lot of the content that is the same for all of you through grades 8 through 12. We're going to be talking a little bit about our expectations right now under our hybrid model. We're going to talk about our Hawks Care Community Code, what attendance is going to look like for this year, whether you're in person or virtual, and then we're going to give you the same overview of the handbook that, if you remember from your class meetings and previously, as we would have done. Finally, for grades 8 through 11, you're going to see a short video from your school counselors. In grade 12, you already had a senior parent and information night, so a lot of the content that was covered there was available then and continues to be available on the school website. All right, so Hudson High. Everything that we're doing this year is going to be grounded in our Hawks Care Community Code. This is the document that was shared with you, A block, that very first day. And what that document does is outlines our specific expectations, how we're treating one another, how we're living, and how we're behaving in what is a very unorthodox school year. Now I want you to remember that last year in the classroom and in the community, we engage in multiple conversations on perseverance and what it means to persevere both inside and outside the classroom. So that conversation on perseverance is going to be very important, because that's going to lead to our commitment this year as a community for our collective safety and our education. And as I addressed on the PA system a few weeks ago, perseverance is going to be vital, because as the months carry on and the weeks carry on, the need to socially distance, the need to wear our masks, the need to to follow our protocols, that's going to become harder and harder, right? If you read the news and listen to news, a lot of people are talking about pandemic fatigue. Yes, we want to get out and we want to be able to go to concerts, go to sporting events, and do all these things that before the spring we were able to do without question on a day-to-day basis. But we're going to have to persevere. And as we do so, I want you to remember these principles. Be caring with one another. All right, that's in the classroom, that's in your Google Meets, that's in the hallways. Remember that all of us are experiencing this pandemic differently. Some of us may have lost family members. Some of us may have strong opinions about whether and how we should be behaving during this time. But when participating as a member of the Hudson High School community, the Hawks Community Code shines to the forefront. So be self-aware, be caring, be patient with one another. Know the protocols. And by and large, you all have been doing a great job with that so far. The mask, the hallways, the bus, lunch protocols, etc. We all share in this accountability if we want to be able to learn in person throughout the school year. All right, let's talk about attendance now. All right, even before the pandemic set in, Hudson High School was working on a new attendance policy because there are parts of it that just weren't working. So I'm going to talk first about what the changes to that attendance policy, what the changes to the attendance policy are, and then I'm going to talk about how we're already needing to adjust some of those things as a result of COVID. So the first main thing about the Hudson High School attendance policy that is gone is that before, if you had an unexcused absence, you would earn a 0 for any work that was due or any assessment that was administered that day. And we were observing problems that, that wasn't really equitable and it wasn't treating individuals fairly. So that part of the policy is gone. But what is new is that we're going to be tracking how many class absences you have in each of your blocks. And that means if you miss 10 classes per semester in, say, English, or 25 if it's a year-long block throughout the year, that there's a chance that you're going to lose some, if not all, of your credit. We want you in class, and being present as part of the learning community is not only going to support your achievement, but it's going to warrant us giving you credit as being a member of our learning community. So that's the primary shift, the shift away from zeros for unexcused absences, more towards accountability for just showing up and being present. Another part is new is what we're calling the planned absence academic plan. So we know that there are times where families, may take an extended weekend trip, or you go away for a holiday, and all of those things aren't going to change. But what we found is that kids and families weren't necessarily always being honest with us. And people were calling out sick when maybe they were traveling out of the state for a sports club tournament or something like that. What we want to do is create an academic plan where we incentivize you just being honest with us and telling us when you're going to miss school and why you're going to miss school. Now, these absences will still count towards the total that I just talked about, but remember, you won't be getting zeros anymore. So the goal is, if you know that you're going to miss 2 or more days of school for a family commitment, for another enrichment opportunity that you may be able to participate in outside of Hudson's High School, that's okay, but we want you to tell us, and we have a form that you're going to fill out, and you're going to meet with all your teachers and talk about what the expectations are while you're away. Teachers aren't going to be required to give you the work in advance. In fact, the teacher may determine that these are the things you're going to have to do when you get back, but the idea is to create transparency with us, to be honest with us so that we know when you're out and that you and your family can work around those absences so that you can get your work done and there's some accountability there. All right. All of that is going to be lined out in the student handbook, and I invite you to read that on our school website when it becomes available and translated. Finally, all right, we're about to launch this new attendance policy, and here we have COVID. All right, so you're going to notice a couple new things in Aspen. First, you're going to notice 2 new codes, virtually absent and virtually present. That's going to indicate when your teacher has acknowledged that you met the requirements within a block learning from home. All right. And we understand that this year has already brought some challenges. We've had some power outages. We've had some technological difficulties that you experienced with your Chromebook. Those things are going to happen. So when we look at the new policy, we're going to take into consideration that we're all learning how to do school differently, and you can meet with your counselor, with your assistant principal, or with me if you're not sure how these absences are going to impact your learning and your credit. So what does virtual attendance look like? All right, so when you get a virtually present, what does that mean that you've earned for that block? Well, when you're learning remotely, there are 3 core components to virtual attendance. We want to be able to see you. That means your camera's on. We need to be able to hear you. That means your microphone's on and you're engaged in discussion and participating. And we need to observe your engagement. All right, we need to be able to see you following along the lesson, completing that class assignment. If multiple components of those are missing, then we don't really know if you're there. We don't really know if you're sitting at your laptop doing what you're supposed to be doing, engaged in the work of the school. We need you virtually present because for many of you, that's a significant part of your work week. So if these aren't happening, you're not going to be considered present by your teacher. And finally, what does virtual engagement look like? So learning from home brings the same expectations as learning in school, meaning you got to respect that classroom. It may not be a physical classroom, it's a virtual one, but you still got to show your teachers and your students the same amount of respect. It is a privilege to be able to log into synchronous instruction. There are a lot of different models out there that other high schools are pursuing, and you have the opportunity to follow the same schedule, the same day, engaging with your teachers and peers. All right, we're not farming you out to some sort of online software to just kind of follow along and learn on your own. It is a privilege to be able to kind of log in, be present, and do school in whatever way we can in this pandemic. We want you to respect that environment. So that means the appropriate behavior and language in Google Meets, just because you're sitting at a desk at home or on your couch or wherever your learning space is, that the same rules apply. All right. So when there's a mass break or a lunch break for a block, you got to get back into that meet. No disappearing, just like you wouldn't want you disappearing in the hallways during the school day. All of these things need to remain consistent for you to be engaged and plugged into your learning.
Hello, Hudson High School. My name is Mr. McInnesby, and I am the assistant principal in charge of grades 8 and 9. Today, during our class meetings, we just want to go over some protocols. Myself and Mr. Goldberg, who will introduce himself in a minute, go over some protocols of things that we're doing here at Hudson High School that may be a little bit new. First thing we want to talk about a little bit is the bus. When you're driving the bus, we want to make sure that you are in your assigned seat. We want to make sure that you're staying socially distant. In case we need to do some contact tracing, then the bus driver will know where you were sitting and when you came on the bus and when you got off the bus. I want to make sure that you're following all the rules that you have been following for the past years that you've been on the bus. Be respectful of the bus driver. Treat the bus like it's a classroom. If the bus driver asks you to move seats for whatever reason, please do so. It's only a short ride to and from school, and we want to make sure that everyone arrives to school safely and goes home safely. Another issue I want to talk about is our cafeteria. We have some new protocols that are in our cafeteria. Again, there's an assigned seat for everyone. If you don't know where your assigned seat is because you've been sitting outside for the past few weeks, let me know. There'll be someone there on duty that will be able to let you know what table you're sitting at. Again, we need to have you in the assigned seat that you chose to sit at to make sure that, again, we're doing the contact tracing. When you come into the cafeteria, 6 feet apart. When you go into the serving area where the cafeteria workers are, only a few people in that area at a time. Again, trying to stay 6 feet apart. You've been really good the past couple of weeks as far as cleaning up. You've been excellent, actually, compared to years past. Again, like pick up your trash, throw it in the barrel when you leave. We want to just, again, make sure that you treat our custodians fairly, you treat our cafeteria workers, you're good to them, because they're really good to us in coming here and helping us get through our day. If you're sitting outside, again, we want to make sure that you are 6 feet apart. We need to get a little bit better at that than we have been the past couple of weeks. 4 students to a table. You're able to sit on the rock walls that are out there, staying in that courtyard area. If you have any questions about protocols that are going on the bus or in the cafeteria, you can see someone on duty, you can see myself, or you can see Mr. Goldberg.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. McInnesby. My name is Mr. Goldberg. I'm the new assistant principal for grades 10, 11, and 12, and I want to thank everybody for welcoming me to the Hudson High School community. It's been a wonderful experience, even though students have not been here. It's really since the first day. We're really looking forward to having you back here and seeing students bring life back to the building here. And like Mr. McInnesby was saying, describing the protocols that are new this year, certainly because of the COVID pandemic and all that we're experiencing together. When you're in the building, though, some things never change. And our student handbook describes all of those things. And my purpose here today is not to read or go through all of the particulars and the logistics and the deep dive of the handbook. You can certainly do that on your own. And I strongly encourage you to. And if you have any questions about anything in that handbook, certainly talk with myself, Mr. McInnesby, or any faculty member here at the school, and we'll get your questions questions answered right away. Of course, when you're in the building, it's about being an engaged and a respectful member of the Hudson High School community. Of course, you're not bringing weapons into school. You're not bringing drugs into school. You're not planning on fights here in the school. Any of these things and actions have consequences. If any of these things come across my desk, Mr. McInespie's desk, we're going to certainly do our best to find the truth of the matter, and then certainly bring family into the conversation, and then certainly there are consequences that happen. We don't foresee any of these kinds of situations occurring this year. It goes without saying how wonderful the student body is, but certainly you need to be aware that actions do have consequences. As much as we want to recognize students for the wonderful things and the great things that are being done in the building, certainly if students are making bad decisions, there are consequences for those, and we'll be reaching out if we have to have any of those conversations. On an attendance front, whether you're in person, your virtual attendance matters, as Mr. Medeiros had described to you. Should students become chronically absent, they're accruing too many absences, too many tardies, not attending in the virtual setting as you're supposed to be, Mr. McInespie and I will be reaching out. You'll be getting letters, so families have a sense as to how many absences those are and which courses they are in, and phone calls that we'll be following up with. And if need be, we'll be bringing families in, having meetings online, and talking about what we can do to bring you back in and re-engage you, involving guidance, involving special educators and those support service personnel that are all here together to support you being an active member and successful member of our community. So we're really looking forward to a great year. I just started, so my year with you has just begun, and I'm looking forward to a wonderful rest of the year with you and all the things that we're doing here at Hudson High. So have a great rest of the year. Thank you. Remember your masks.
Hello, class of 2023. This is Ms. Botcheller on behalf of the Hudson High School School Counseling Department, and welcome to sophomore year. We know that you have the thoughts, feelings, and behaviors to be successful. I'm going to review some important information with you about your sophomore year at Hudson High School. I will remind you who your school counselor is, what the graduation requirements are to receive a diploma from Hudson High, what information gets reported on a high school transcript, what to do about college entrance testing in the future, things that you can be doing beyond the classroom, and other things to consider when planning for your future college and career experiences. These are your school counselors. Ms. Bartlett has the beginning of the alphabet with last names A through D. Mrs. DeFonso's caseload for sophomores this year is E through MA. The rest of the M's through Z are on Ms. Botcheller's caseload. And Mrs. S works with our English language learners in the 10th grade. We are currently taking appointment requests through a Google form. On this slide is an easy link to follow where you'll be brought to a page on our department website. You can also scan the QR codes posted outside of our office entrance, and this information has been posted in the Google Classroom that our office has for your class. School counselors take on many responsibilities in a high school. We work with students when selecting courses for the following school year. We help to mediate social conflicts. We provide brief counseling for social and emotional support. And we engage with students throughout their high school years to target appropriate college and career pathways. This slide shows you what our high school graduation requirements are. In order to earn a diploma, students must pass 4 years of English and math, 3 science classes, which for most students is bio, chem, and physics, 3 history classes, which for most students is U.S. World History 1, 2, and 3, 2 levels of the same world language, 1 wellness class per year, and at least 1 additional elective course. A senior needs to have earned at least 96 total credits before they can earn their diploma. To remain on track for that, you will have to have at least 48 credits total at the end of this year. Students must also complete these state testing requirements. You must earn passing scores in the ELA, math, and science MCAS tests, or meet requirements through an educational proficiency plan or other academic requirements that the state outlines. Here's a sample of our transcript at Hudson High School. A transcript is the document that holds official academic information about your high school career. Listed on a transcript is a list of courses that you take each year, the level of the course, the final grade for the course, and how many credits you've earned. Your grade point average is calculated at the end of each full school year. A GPA is a number value that indicates how well or how high you scored in your courses on average. At Hudson High, our GPA is calculated on a weighted scale. This means that if you take an AP course or honors courses, the GPA carries a higher number value than a course at the academic level. There are two main types of college entrance exams, the SAT and the ACT. Colleges review these scores as part of an application and the admission process. We recommend that you think about taking the SAT or ACT in the spring of your junior year. To help you prepare for these tests, we will be administering the PSAT in January, which is a practice SAT. There are also practice tests available online and individual practice available through Khan Academy if you sign up for free access and link it to your College Board account. High school isn't just about the academic work and studying for tests. We encourage all of you to get or remain involved in activities outside of the school day. This might be participating in a club or activity, playing a sport, volunteering with a community organization, working at a part-time job, or taking part in leadership opportunities that our department might be able to share with you throughout the year. We align a lot of what we do with the public university system. It's important to keep in mind that state colleges in Massachusetts consider several aspects of a student's profile to determine eligibility for admission. They'll look at your academic profile, which includes making sure you've taken the most rigorous courses that are appropriate for you to take. If your GPA falls between a 2.0 and 3.0, then they'll use a sliding scale with your SAT or ACT scores to make sure that you are academically eligible for admission. They will also look at your activity resume, your personal essay, and letters of recommendation to better understand who you are as a person outside of the classroom. In addition to career-specific skills, developing and honing employability skills can be another focus for students who may be uncertain of their future plans. These images come from the Massachusetts Work-Based Learning Plan, and it highlights the key employability skills that students should be working to obtain. So what does this mean for a high school sophomore? There's always room for growth. You can set personal and academic goals, considering things that are short-term as well as long-term. And consider what your strengths are and connect to the world in ways that enhance your interests. In conclusion, we want to be sure that all sophomores have access to our Google Classroom. This was set up for students for the class of 2023 a few years ago, so many of you may already be in it. We'll be posting content throughout the school year to this Google Classroom, so please be sure that you are paying attention to the items we share. Thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.